Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Alrighty. So we have our new promulgated contracts up here. How do you know that something is new? At the very top right corner, you will always see a date at the top. Okay, so that is your signal. This is the most updated version of whatever document you are using. Look at the top right for the date. Okay. All right. So the very first one we're going to talk about is the condominium contract. Okay, condominium contract. This is huge. This is important. This is important. Only use this document when you are working with condos. Only use this document when you are working with condos. If you use this document and you are not working with condos, eventually you will realize that the boxes do not work. You cannot put in a legal description. You cannot put in certain information. It's going to start asking you for parking spots, all of the things. This is specifically and only for condominiums. Notice it does not say condominiums and townhomes. It is for condominiums. That's it. If it is a condo, that's what you're using this document for. How will I know if something is a condo versus a townhome versus an apartment? You will know that by looking at the legal description. All condominium legal descriptions literally say condo or condominium in it if it is a condo property. If it is a townhome property, you will not see the word condo. If it is an apartment, you will not see the word condo or condominium. All condominiums in the legal description, it will say condo or condominium. Okay. All right. So moving through, so you have your buyer and your seller, which is normal. We have our buyers and sellers. Please remember just briefly that buyers and sellers can be people, it can be businesses. Okay, it could be both. ABC house flippers can be the buyer, and 123 house flipper can be the seller. It does not have to be a physical name. Jasmine Hunter does not have to go in that box. It can be SCM Realty. Okay, so whatever the business name is or whatever the person's name is can go here. For condos, notice here you do not see lot and block, and you do not have a box for a legal description. Instead, we need to know the unit number. We need to know what building it is. Then we need to know what city it's in. We need to know the county, and this big extra box right here, right in this area, this is whatever the address is. So the condominium project is located at 123 Easy Street. Okay. There, you're not looking for a lot in Blockwood condos because the condo that you're selling is literally one unit out of the whole building. You're not selling the entire building. If you were selling the entire building, we would be looking at a commercial agreement, and there would be a legal description for that. Okie dokie. All right, so moving on down, you have your exclusions. Please, please, please make sure you're looking in your MLS when you are doing a contract. It should be a spot towards the bottom of the MLS that states if the seller has any exclusions, meaning I'm excluding the washer, dryer, and the fridge. I'm excluding the TVs. I'm excluding the furniture. If the seller is not allowing something to be on the non-realty addendum, I need to list those exclusions as long as we agree with them. Okay. And that list of exclusions would be in the MLS if there are any. This box here is specifically talking about documents from the declaration, all the HOA or condominium documents. Has your buyer received them? Yes or no? Have you done the resale certificate? Now we're down here. Yes or no? This is all condos. This is why this is different. This part is normal. We're talking about the sales price. A plus B equals C. Down payment plus loan amount equals total amount. Is this a loan assumption? Is this seller financing? Or is this going to be a third-party financing addendum? Is there a current lease on the property? Notice it says nothing about natural leases because a condo does not have gas pumping out of the floor on the 15th floor of that condo. It is a condo. So we only have residential or fixture leases here. Your earnest and option money period, paragraph, all of this, and all of your title conversations, all of this is the same in every single contract. It's all the same. None of this is different than anything you've ever learned in your pre-licensing classes or anything I've ever taught you. Nothing is different here. Who is the title company going through? What is the earnest and option money? How many days for the option period? Who's paying for the title policy? Who's providing the title policy? Should be the same title company in paragraph 6 as it is in paragraph 5. And then when you scroll down here, in some contracts, we're talking about surveys, but there is no survey with a condominium, but there are objections. You keep on scrolling. All of this is the same. Same with paragraph 7. We have seller's disclosures. Has your buyer received it? Have they not? We have seller's disclosure based on lead-based paint right here. Have you received it? Did you sign it? Yes or no? All of this is the same. Are we taking the property as is? Are we taking it as is provided XYZ? Lender required repairs. Notice the new stuff, the water rights. There are no water rights with condos because it's a condo. Again, this is how you'll know maybe I'm using the wrong contract because you're not able to provide certain information. Closing dates are the same, possession is the same, settlement and expenses all the same. Is the seller going to be providing any money to the buyer? Is the seller going to be providing any money to the buyer for any type of home warranties or transfer fees for condos? And then down here, the brokerage compensation, we know that this entire area is different, but it's not different in each contract, okay? Our prorations, casualties, default, mediation, attorney fees, escrow, representations, government requirements, all the same. Notices, all the same. And the agreement to the parties, all the same. If you are adding any type of addenda or notices, this is the location now with the new contract. And your information as far as who's getting paid, who's representing who, this is all on page 9. This is what it looks like here in the new contract. And that is it. That's your condo contract. So anytime you are talking about condos, this is the document that you use. There is no exception. There's no exception. If it is a condo, we are only using the condominium contract, regardless, period. Okay. Now, when you're talking about 1 to 4 family new home contracts, or not even, well, yes, 1 to 4 family new home contracts, there are two options here. Either the home that you're offering on is completed construction, meaning I can move into it right now. I can flush toilets, I can turn on AC. There's no nails on the floor, there's no concrete on the floor unless it's stained concrete. All the cabinets are in. The house is fully complete. I even have door stoppers and doorknobs. Then I'm using the new home contract completed construction, which is right here. But if you have a client who's like, oh, I want this house, it's on this street that my mom lives on, and they're in the middle of building it. They're in the framing stage, and I want to put a contract on the house before it's finished. There is a contract for that. It's the new home incomplete. That is the sole difference between this contract and this one. One is incomplete, the other one is complete. That's the difference. And the biggest difference between these two and the actual 1 to 4 family is that the 1 to 4 family contract is a resale, which means it is not new. Hence the titles. Okay. They did this on purpose, right? We have new construction incomplete, new construction complete versus pre-owned, someone has lived here before and it is being resold to somebody else. I want to be very clear on this. You are not using these promulgated documents with mainstream builders. Mainstream builders have their own proprietary forms. Give you an example, the D.R. Hortons, the Lennars, Meritage Homes, Paul Taylor, Coventry Homes, all the big names that you see while you're driving through neighborhoods, Inspiration Homes, all of those builders have their own contracts. And yes, those homes are new home contracts incomplete and completed construction, but we are not using promulgated forms for that. We're using the builder's proprietary forms. I'm using that vocabulary on purpose. When you go through Workspace and you work with a builder, or when you go through Workspace and you're working pre-owned and it's realtors on both sides, the Workspace will prompt you with a question. What is the current ownership of the home? And you'll have to put resale or new construction. Then it's going to prompt you a second question. Are you using promulgated contracts or proprietary? If you're with one of those mainstream builders, that's what proprietary means. It's not the promulgated form. Okay. All right. So these two, I'm going to put them up at the same time, the incomplete and the complete, because I want to show you the very subtle differences. Everything is the same, paragraph 1 through 5. Okay. All of this is the same. What is the lot and the block? Who are the buyer and the seller? How are you paying for the property? Leases on the property, yes or no? Where's the earnest money going? How many option period days do you have? All of this is the same. All of this is the same so far. So now we're down to paragraph 6. Who's paying for the title policy? All of this is the same. If you're going to have a survey, who's paying for the shortages? All of this is the same. And then you get down to the title commitment. Again, all of these are the same except the survey. This is where the difference comes in, right here on the survey. If the property is incomplete, I can't do a survey yet. So this is specifically saying how many days prior to closing will the seller provide the survey, or how many days prior to closing will the buyer provide it. On the new home completed side, there might already be a survey, which is why it looks just like the resale. Okay. So that is going to be your first difference here. Then you keep on scrolling. We need to know if the house is in an HOA. We need to know if we're taking the property as is, all of the things. Then you get to paragraph 7. Okay. So 7, we have the access. This is all the same. And then we have the acceptance of the property as is versus over here, construction documents. I cannot accept the property as is because it's not finished on the incomplete side. So on this right side over here, this whole next section, all of this is talking about the rest of construction. When will the property be finished? Does the buyer have any rights to make any changes? Can the buyers pick their paint? Can they pick the floors? What kind of insulation are you putting in? When must everything be complete? How long do buyers have to make their selections? Are they allowed to go over budget? What happens if they do? That is all discussed here. Whereas on the completed side, what we're talking about is the same thing we are talking about as far as insulation. This is all going to be the same as this side here, as the incomplete side. But the rest of this looks very similar to the 104 family contract because the house is finished. So are you taking the property as is or not? Okay. That's going to be paragraph 7. So then you scroll down, and then because there is no seller's disclosure notice, because it is not a resale. So the actual seller's disclosure notice that resale houses have to fill out, you do not have that when it is a new home, period, whether it's incomplete or complete. Instead, there's this little section right here where the seller just briefly, yes or no. Is the house in the flood? Is there a dump site somewhere? Are there endangered species somewhere? And those are the same questions on both sides. Is there insurance on the property for floods? That's all the disclosure that's needed because by builders, when you buy a new home, incomplete or complete, in Texas, builders are required to give a warranty on the property. So there's no need for me to disclose that the window is broken because if it is, I have to replace it anyway per the warranty. That's why there's that difference, okay? Everybody talks about residential service contracts. If you want to have a third party home warranty company, sales disclosure about groundwater. As we know, this whole section is new. We have that in a whole nother video. We've talked about this already. Our brokerage disclosure, all my newest agents, you took a test recently and it probably asked you about the spouse, parent, child situation. Do you have to disclose that? Yes. Paragraph 8. Paragraph 9 talks about your closing date and are you going to keep the house after closing in paragraph 10 due to some type of temporary lease, or are we changing possession at closing and funding? And then we have our compensation documents and the rest of it is the same. Okay? All the same here. The biggest difference, because now we're moving on to the 104 family. This is the one we use more than anything. The biggest difference, again, this is a resale. I'm going to circle it and highlight it because I just want to make sure there are no cognitive delays. This is for resales. Okay, 100%. There's a person who lived here, received mail here, and is now selling it to somebody else that will live here and get mail here. Period. It's resale. It is not new. Even if the listing says like new property, it isn't new though. It's just like new. It has to be totally non-lived in for it to be a different contract. This contract we know. Parties, property description, we know this. We already know this. And we've gone through this with a fine-tooth comb lately because this is a new contract and we went through all the new stuff. We know this contract. Okay, we know that we should know this contract front to back. But this is the newest version. If you want to start using it, you can. The only difference again is that this is for resales only. The other thing I want to make sure we also understand is it clearly says 1 to 4 here. The 1 would be single family or townhome. The 2 is duplexes, 3 is triplex, and the 4 in the title would be your quads. Okay, so someone's buying a quadplex, a triplex, a duplex, single family, or a townhome, this is the contract we are using. Our unimproved property contract versus our farm and ranch. Okay, another one where we need to kind of go back and forth. What are the main differences? Scroll up a little bit and scroll out here. All right, so the biggest difference between an unimproved property contract and the farm and ranch contract, both of them are land only, period. Both of them are land only. If there is a residence on the land, then it's not a land contract. I don't care if it's 1,000 acres. If there's a single family dwelling on that 1,000 acres, you're using the 1 to 4. You are. That you're using the 1 to 4 if there is a dwelling on the property. Okay. If there's no dwelling, right? There's no dwelling and there's nothing extra going on. It's just one house and then it's just 1,000 acres. That is not farm and ranch. It is single family, period. Doesn't matter. If you're buying land of any size, how you determine if you're using the unimproved property versus the farm and ranch is what is the current usage of that land. Not what am I going to use it for? What is the current usage? Unimproved property means it is unimproved. There's no farm equipment. There's no ag exemption. There's no cow. There's no horse. There's no beehive. There's no hay. There's no land lease. There's no timber. There's no crops. There's no red barnyard. There's nothing. It is literally just trees and land and grass. That can go on for 1 acre. It can go on for 2,000 acres. If the current use is literally just property, that is going to be your unimproved property contract. If there are any of the things that I just said that couldn't be for unimproved on the property, then that would be farm and ranch. What is the current use of the property? If there is already an agricultural exemption, if there's already a barn on there, if there's already feeders on there, hunting blinds on there, portable buildings, gates, corrals, pressure tanks, livestock, if any of that stuff is already there, the current use is farm and ranch, then you use farm and ranch. Farm and ranch can be on 5 acres. Farm and ranch can be on 10 acres. Farm and ranch can be on 20,000 acres. It doesn't matter. Whatever the current use, that's how you tell the difference, okay? The differences in the contract, the first difference that you're going to see here that you're not going to see on any other contract is going to be this section here, as any other contract that we've gone over so far is what I mean by that. This section here is super important. When you are buying land, okay, it's the same right here. Let me highlight it. Here you go. When you are buying land of any kind, farm and ranch or unimproved, the person that's buying the land is more than likely buying the land a price per acre. Okay, a price per acre. So if I'm going to buy land from Tarsha, it's 5 acres, and we do a survey, and I'm buying that 5 acres for $5,000. I'm buying it for 1,000 per acre. 1,000 times 5 is 5,000, right? If I do the survey and I find out that it's not 5 acres, it's 4, do I still want to pay that 5,000, or do you think I want to pay 4,000? I want to pay less money, right? Okay, you are determining if that's what you're going to do in this paragraph here. This is specifically saying the price will or will not be adjusted based on that survey. Okay, if you are representing the seller, I'm going to tell you, you want that box to say will not be adjusted. Because if there is less land, then now your seller just made less money. If there's more land, that's a gamble that most sellers are willing to take. I do not want to be charged. I don't want to change my price hoping that there's more land. You should know your land. So if you can get this to be a will not be adjusted, you'll probably like your clients will like you a little bit more. If you are just doing this from the buyer's perspective, you want that price to be adjusted more than likely based on that survey because there might be less land. Where you see this the most at is where people do the whole plus or minus 20 acres. Plus or minus is a really professional way of saying, I really don't know how many acres I have, but I think it's close to 20. Okay, like that's just a really professional way of saying it. So instead of guaranteeing that it's 20, they just say more or less, plus or minus, más o menos 20 acres. And you have to decide, are we going to change this price based on that, yes or no? When you get to the leases section, moving past the price, when you get to the leases section, this is where it also differs. This is going to look a little bit more on the unimproved property side. This is going to look a little bit more like your 1 to 4 family. On the farm and ranch side, this is going to look more like a actual farm and ranch. Are there any surface leases? Are there any natural leases? Send me all the copies of the leases. Who's making money on this land? What kind of crops are being pulled? All that kind of stuff is on the farm and ranch side, not on the unimproved. Your earnest money and option money, title policy, all of this stuff is the same. All of this is the same until you get down to the surface leases and the exemptions on the farm and ranch side, because if there are exemptions or any type of recording references or surface leases, the title company needs to know about that. Everybody needs to have this information, so you write it in here. But everything else is the exact same. The only other thing that you'll see that is similar to the other contracts, the new home incomplete and not complete, is because we're talking about land. There's no dwelling that I need to do a seller's disclosure notice on, but I do need to disclose those same questions. Are we in a flood zone? Do we have insurance because we're in a flood zone? All of the things. Is there any environmental hazards? Same exact disclosure that we see on the new home complete and incomplete contracts. And then we have the same conversation as far as the water rights. That's on here as well, because remember, we talked about this already. This is new. We got our water rights right here. Everything else is the same. Okay. So again, it's all about, do you know what contract to use in what situation? Now, also, I don't want you to think that it's not normal to not know what to do. There are tons of situations where someone is, I've had people buy a new construction home and literally sell it within 2 weeks, and they never moved in. Is that technically new home completed construction? No, a person owned it. That's technically a 1 to 4 family resale, even though it's been 2 weeks. Just being able to identify what kind of situation am I in so that you can also identify what contracts to use is very important. The beautiful part is regardless of what contract you are using, if you notice the list of addenda, the exact same on every contract. This list of addenda are the same. We don't have addenda based on, is this farm and ranch? Then you only use this addenda. Is it 1 to 4 family? You only use this addenda, or you only have this notice for XYZ. It's the same list here on every contract. Okay, so we don't have particular addenda or notices for particular contracts. The only time you will see something that only gets used with condominium contracts is literally the condominium resale document. That's the only extra addendum that you would add to any contract, but that you would add to a contract, and it's specific to the condominium contract. Everything else is the exact same. How you list your compensation is going to be the same. You just have to be able to identify what document to use in what situation. Okay.